have a confession. I discovered something a little bit embarrassing. You see, I've checked my spending account and I realized I spent $317,424.87. But it wasn't on sexy stuff. No new watches, no new cars, no wildly extravagant purchases. But I spent it on tiny daily habits that were just quietly letting money seep out of the cracks. So I made a radical decision. I stripped away everything unnecessary and developed 10 tiny, unsexy daily habits that either save or make me some serious money. The first habit was to stop buying into the hype. I used to treat fragrance releases like sneaker drops. I'm talking new bottles, limited editions, or reformulations. Count me in. But here's what I realized, that the hype around fragrances tends to disappear as soon as the next fragrance releases. And with a ton of clone fragrance houses on the market and designer brands and niche brands trying to bring something new, well, hype goes really quickly. So it was like a never-ending cycle. And then don't get me started on blind buys, because most blind buys were just unnecessary. So I made a rule, unofficial, but a rule nonetheless. When a fragrance drops, I give it 30 days. But there's one exception. I gotta really be excited about it. You know, if I still want it after all the reviews calm down, all of the TikToks stop, the reels stop, and the dopamine fades, and I still want it, then it's real. You see, you'd be shocked of how many of these must-have fragrances tend to just disappear. You see, what it turns out is that I didn't really want the fragrance. I just wanted the feeling of getting the fragrance, and more importantly, having the fragrance first. Now, this one rule has saved me thousands of dollars, because if I'm not the first to get it, it tends to hit discounters and I can pick it up for a far cheaper price. And now my fragrance collection is actually far tighter because of it. Now, the second habit is a little bit dated, but it's still important. And I built a core fragrance rotation. Now, I see this all the time in the comment section, and people that I know in real life, they probably have 40 to 50 bottles, but really only end up wearing about 10% of them. And personally, I was that guy. So I built a core fragrance rotation. I'm talking gym scents, work scents, romantic scents, cold weather, warm weather, and even a signature scent. If a new fragrance didn't clearly outperform a fragrance I already had in this category, then it was a no-go. Nah, man, it didn't make it to the house. We don't need no duplicates. None of that. This is kinda similar, but it's smoother. If it overlapped, it didn't survive. Now, that thought alone shifted me from collecting everything to really curating a special collection of fragrances that I truly enjoy. Now, these days, I don't follow it as much as I once did, but if you're just getting into the game, that's a cold way to save a lot of hard cash. Now, habit number 3 is one that's boring, which is why no one does it. And that is to maintain what I already own. I mean, I clean my shoes, I condition my leather, I even protect my electronics with surge protectors. What a nerd. Look, you and I know that replacing these things can be expensive. And let me tell you, maintenance is cheap, but most people tend to operate in the replace mode. These days, I operate in the preserve mode. I mean, really, I do. I rotate my shoes quite frequently. I keep my wardrobe extremely simple, and I replace my must-have items strategically. Instead of these year-round additions that just add and add and add. Here's another added benefit. Taking care of what you own makes you look disciplined. And disciplined men don't constantly rebuy the same things. Now, the fourth habit might shock you, but this is one of the biggest savings I've ever made. And that is to eliminate chaotic spending. The most unpredictable spending category in my life is food. Not groceries though. I'm talking random food. I'm talking busy days, or we didn't feel like cooking. Then boom, that $18 meal turned into $40 real quick. And when I looked at the budget, I pretended it didn't count, which means I lost a lot of money. And that's where today's video sponsors come in, because Factor fixed all that. They've got 100+ meals available. I'm talking breakfast, shakes, snacks, chickens, turkeys, chickens, turkeys, you name it! And they actually taste good. Not that I guess it's healthy, so I'm gonna eat it. It really just takes 2 minutes in the microwave, and then you're done. So no more prep, no more cleanup, and no more I'll just order something. Look, most of my meals come with 30 to 50 grams of protein. So I get full, which means no more snacking around 10 p.m. or shaking a bowl in the kitchen to my wife like I'm in a survival movie. More porridge, please. Look, abs are built in the kitchen, so since I'm trying to get my new phone Who This vibe this year, it's worth me keeping away from the junk. In fact, it said, No worries, my guy, we got you covered. Because Factor has no refined seed oils, no artificial junk, plus they banned over 175 ingredients. So therefore, I can eat with confidence, which is a major win for me. I mean, really, look, just the other day I was placing my order and I saw that they added a ton of Mediterranean options to the menu. So not only are they Mediterranean inspired, but they're also gut-friendly options. And since I'm on the road a lot, I gotta make sure I ain't out here stinking up the place. We're talking roasted parsnip, celery root, cauliflower, just a bunch of things that are good, but we will probably never cook. But with Factor, I get to enjoy it. For me, Factor wins because it's great food and predictable pricing. And predictable spending builds control. Now, if you want to be in control of both your gut and financial health, then head over to factor75.com. Click the link down below and use my code BBF to get 50% off your first box, plus free breakfast for 1 year. So that's one breakfast meal per box with an active subscription. Free meals are applied as a discount on your first box for new and returning subscribers only. It varies by plan, so sign up today. Now, let's get back into the list. Now, the fifth habit is grooming myself versus paying professionals. Most of the time I cut my own hair or lack thereof. My wife trims my beard, she handles my manicure, and I handle all the skincare stuff at home. Now I know this sounds extreme, especially in a world where self-care often means very expensive salon visits, but the math is undeniable. You see, a professional haircut in my area costs you around $60 plus tip. And getting that done every week means that I would spend about $4,000 a year just on my haircuts, not including my son's. Add in the occasional beard trims and manicures and the kids and any other grooming services out there, then you're looking at nearly $20,000 a year. On the flip side, I just invested about $150 into a decent pair of clippers, some scissors, and some few other basic grooming tools, and I was good to go. Now, the initial learning curve is a little bit awkward, but now I can maintain my appearance exactly how I want it, when and where I need to, without spending a fortune. And again, hear this one more time, that saves me nearly $20,000 a year. I still hit up the barber from time to time. Now, the sixth habit is extremely unsexy, but it's very effective. And this is to eliminate subscription services that I don't actively use on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. You see, I cancel streaming services that I rarely watch, magazine subscriptions that I never read, gym memberships that I wasn't using, and software subscriptions for tools that, quite frankly, I'd forgotten about. So check this out. I was going through one of my statements and I realized that I had a magazine subscription for GQ. Like GQ magazine, Gentleman's Quarterly. And I never once received the magazine from them. Like, bro, really? Here's another one. I moved early last year and I had a subscription to the local car wash. But now it's a little bit too far. And guess who still had the subscription? Not for one car, but for two. I even had a Rocket lawyer subscription. I don't know why, but I did. The point is that my subscription audit was eye-opening. I discovered that I was paying for 30 different monthly subscriptions that I wasn't using. And those totaled nearly $600 per month. Now, some of these were free trials that I signed up for and forgotten about. And then others seemed reasonable when I first signed up for them, but they weren't providing any ongoing value. And then some were duplicate subscriptions that I made with different email accounts. Like DAZN was hitting me up twice a month. I must have forgot that I had it, tried to log in, it didn't work, and like, oh, maybe I don't have it, and just used a different email. So there's that. But avoid what I did and now do what I do. I review all of my recurring subscriptions quarterly. And then I immediately cancel anything that I'm not getting anything out of. And if it's something that I'm going to need occasionally, then I'd rather pay the one-off fee to do it than to keep an ongoing subscription every month. So the subscription elimination saved me $7,200 a year. Cha-ching! Look, that takes us to habit number 7, which is to no longer pay retail. Here's the thing, retail shopping is for those people out there who refuse to ask questions. Discounters exist, cashback portals exist, and loyalty/reward programs exist. So I say all that to say that you can find a discount and a deal pretty much anywhere. But also remember that when you're buying things, timing kind of matters. Now, fragrance guys know this, but most people kind of impulse buy. And they happen to do it at full price. But not I, my guy. Not I. You see, if there's a smarter way to buy it, generally I find it. And that's not being cheap, that's being strategic. I mean, 10% here, 15% there, and over a year, that's real money. And real money just happens to compound. Here's this. The other day, I was buying a fragrance from Nordstrom, and I happened to go in right before closing. You see, I was talking to the sales associate, and then I asked him the secret question. Here it is. If you're in sales, you're gonna know this. How's your numbers today? And he said, man, it's been a slow day. No one's buying anything. And then I knew I had him, because likely he wasn't gonna get many more customers aside from me, so I hit him with the switcherooski. I said, man, this was 15% cheaper. I'd buy it. He said sold. He hit his quota. I got my product for cheaper. It was a win-win. Hopefully he hit his quota. If not, he got a lot closer. Now, habit number 8 is what I call the empty bottle rule. Once you reach 10 bottles, don't buy another one until you finish one. Now, clearly, I didn't do this, but I did. Back in the day. You see, before I got into like massive fragrance collections, I used to kind of shop for what my fantasy fragrance collection would be. I would watch a review on something that was dark and mysterious and pumped with oud, and I think that's going to be me. Meanwhile, I'm sitting home in my black t-shirt. Back then it was likely a white t-shirt, running errands and nothing dark or mysterious, and you know, using really about 5% of the bottle. And I've still got bottles from that era today. So take it from me, don't do what I did, be better. Now, habit number 9 is really about capping your lifestyle inflation. For most people, as their income goes up, so does their spending. I'm talking better restaurants, better seats on a plane, just premium everything. You tell yourself, I deserve it. You don't deserve nothing. Well, maybe you do. Maybe you do. But the problem is that if your expenses rise at the same rate as your income or more, then it's impossible for you to build wealth. You just end up upgrading and looking like the part, but you never actually become that thing. So I capped it. When I make more, I don't automatically spend more. Now, some people might say that's boring, but boring builds freedom. Now, the 10th and most unsexy habit out there is to track every dollar spent in real time. Now, I use an automated app on my phone that goes in and tracks each of these expenses for me right after they happen. I'm talking coffee, gas, utility, groceries, entertainment, fragrance, all of it gets recorded. And it goes in the right category with a brief description, so I know exactly where every dollar has gone. Now, I know this might sound a little tedious and maybe even a little obsessive, but the awareness it creates is transformational. Now, as you heard, before I tracked my expenses, I had a vague idea where my money was going, but I wasn't locked in. Now, of course, I knew the big categories, but I was missing the death by 1,000 cut spending patterns. I'm talking those I'm never going to pay you back family loans, first class flights, the occasional impulse buys, and those small recurring charges that just added up over time. Now, I see where every dollar goes in real time. Now, the awareness of it naturally kind of just shifts your buying pattern, because you have to consciously acknowledge each purchase. And that really expensive purchase becomes a little less appealing when you got to justify it. The accountability with it is powerful and immediate. The tracking also unveils other patterns that you might have. I mean, things like you might naturally spend more on the weekends, or you might spend more when you're stressed or when you go to a specific store. And those insights allow you to make more strategic adjustments to both your habits and your environment. The expense tracking habits have literally saved me hundreds of thousands of dollars by increasing my spending awareness and decreasing those impulse buys. Now, let me be completely honest about implementing these habits. Most of them are not particularly fun or exciting. I mean, really, there's nothing glamorous about maintaining your old items or even tracking every expense. But these habits do require discipline, consistency, and the willingness to do the boring things. But while you're doing the boring things, you can enjoy your meal from Factor. It might put a little bit more spice in your life. But all jokes aside, man, there's one thing left to do after this video, which is for you to man up. So, what unsexy habits have you incorporated? Each one teach one, let us know down below.